Today I wanted to show you just how easy it is to make clear vinyl PVC planner covers using clear vinyl, which you buy on the roll. This I bought at my local sewing supplies store. So the clear vinyl covers are just like this. This is an A6 size, so you can see that's the vinyl there, and you just have your elastics in it for a traveller's notebook cover, as you'd normally have, with the centre closure and the elastics to hold the books in. These books are just some notebooks from Kmart. This one here is a B6 cover, and in addition to cutting the vinyl in a B6, I also used an A4 size piece of vellum to wrap around inside the cover. I just really liked the vellum and wanted to make a cover with it. So the B6 is 13 inches wide, so the vellum wasn't quite wide enough, so you can see it's a little bit see-through at the front and the back on the edges here. That's that. This one here is also a B6, but this one I chose some vellum from a Planner Society kit to wrap around on the inside of the cover. So it's almost like a inner cover to the clear vinyl cover, and that just puts nice rose gold dots all over it. So this one is a US letter size width piece of acetate, so it also isn't wide enough for the 13-inch there, but I don't mind it actually being clear there. You can see the tabs and everything nicely. And then this one here is one I'm setting up at the moment. This is a little pocket size, so I've also used a vellum in here. It's a vellum with a nice gold foil on it. I could easily get a piece of vellum to fit the same size as the cover, so the vellum and the cover are in fact the same size, and then you can see the dashboards through the planner itself, but it's a little bit more festive, I think, with the gold on it. So I'm just setting this one up at the moment for my Christmas planner, and this is actually the one that I will make in this tutorial. The first thing you need to make the PVC cover is some PVC. So this is a 0.8mm thickness PVC, which I got from my local sewing supply store. I live in New Zealand, and the store's called Spotlight, and they sell it on the roll, and they do sell it different thicknesses. This is quite a thick one. If you have the Planner Society clear sticker book, then this is the thickness, approximately the thickness of that. So it's quite thick, and it comes on the roll. So the first thing you need to do is to cut the rectangle in the size of the planner that you'd like. So these are different traveller's notebook covers which I've made in the sizes. I have made templates for all of these, and I have a recent video where I show the templates, and I share the templates on Cricut Design Space, which is a free application, so you can access the templates yourself. So the templates are simply the rectangle, and then they have the holes. So there are 3 holes at the top and the bottom of the template, so you can put 4 elastics inside the cover, and there's a hole in the center, so you can put your wraparound center elastic. So I have them in pocket size, A6 size, a B6, a standard, and an A5. All of my covers are wide so that I can make my traveller's notebooks quite thick. I can put quite a lot in them. You can always make your cover a little bit narrower if that's the way you want to do it. But what I'm going to do now is just quickly cut a pocket wide traveller's notebook out for you, just to show you the process. And obviously the process is the same, whatever size notebook you may make. So I actually have a rectangle cut here, which was a incorrectly cut A6 size traveller's notebook. So I'm just going to cut it down into being a pocket size. So it's just the same if you're using the large roll. Generally, the side of the roll, for example, is completely straight, so you don't need to cut that at all. So if you're using off the side of the roll, line the side up and then line the bottom up, and then for a pocket wide size, it's 9.5 inches wide by 6 inches high. So to cut it, I have a cutting mat and I have a Fiskars rotary cutter. This is a great rotary cutter actually, I'm happy with that. And also if you use a metal ruler for cutting. I use this one, which is a We Are Memory Keepers Supreme ruler. I wouldn't actually recommend this until they come up with a better version because the metal's just held on by these little, I don't know what you call them, little nails, and as you can see the nails fall out. In fact, it came without them, and so the nails fall out, which means that the metal moves because it's these little nails that are holding the metal in place. So I need to actually carry it upside down to avoid losing them. I've spent many minutes, if not hours, on the floor looking for them to be able to push them back in, but then when you push them back in they seem to not actually stay in place. But I'll cut with this end of the ruler. So the pocket wide one is 9.5 inches wide. It's a bit hard to see when it's completely see-through, isn't it? So that's my 0 there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.5 inches wide. So I want to cut it here. I just moved it. I'll just put it back in place. There we go. I want to cut it here along this 1/2 inch mark. So I'll just line the ruler up. And just pushing down on the rotary cutter, cut it to 9.5, and then it wants to be 6 inches high. So I need to cut this 1/4 inch off the top of it. So if you don't have a rotary cutter, you can just cut with scissors, whatever you generally cut with. Of course, the rotary cutter gives it a bit of a cleaner edge than certainly if I cut it with scissors, but you might be more proficient with scissors than I am. Okay, so we'll just push down. And that's taken that bit off. So now I have a rectangle of vinyl. Now that I've cut the vinyl to the size of the traveller's notebook cover I want, the next process is simply to put the holes in the cover. So these holes, I'll just move it here so we can see better. So these holes, I have 3 at the top and the bottom, so you can have 4 elastics going up and down for notebooks, and then there's 1 hole in the centre for the elastic closure. I punched the holes with a We Are Memories crop-a-dile on the 1/8 of an inch size hole, which is the size of the hole in the templates. The centre hole I use a leather punch, which I have, just a manual leather punch that I use with a hammer. So use whatever you have to make the holes. But the first thing I want to do, because I want to actually wrap a vellum around inside the cover like I have with the other ones. So I've cut a piece of vellum to the same size as the cover. So this is going to be a Christmas planner. So I've got some vellum here. It's got Mary, Love, Peace, Believe, Joy, Noel. So a nice Christmas vellum. that the other paper that I use will shine through. So to simplify the hole punching process, I'm just going to punch the holes through both layers at the same time. So I need to use the template and just line everything up as best I can with the template. Now usually I just use clips to clip to the cover while I punch the holes, but I have noticed with the vinyl it can actually put a mark in the vinyl which doesn't remove itself. So what I've done is I've just cut some little offcuts of the vinyl which were sitting on the table, and I'm going to use those to hold the clip. So I'm just going to fold that around the edge there and then put the clip on there. I've actually moved the cover when I've done that. And that will just help hold everything in place. So I cut 4 of these little things and I'm just going to put 4 clips on. Okay, so there we go. So I can see, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I can still see the holes through here. So with my crop-a-dile and the 1/8 of an inch hole, I'm just going to use my template to see where to punch the holes. Okay, sometimes a little bit of vinyl gets stuck in there. For the centre hole I use these hollow punch sets. I use the 1/8 of an inch hole, which is the smallest one. I just bought these at my hardware store and they're for cutting, it says on it, leather, plastic, rubber, vinyl, paper and other materials. So just put a hard surface down. And then I just get the 1/8 of an inch hole punch, so you can see it has a little hole in the end there. Just line it up with the hole in the template. I think it's still sitting there. I just need something to poke it with. There we go. So it was just sitting there still. We'll just poke it out. Oh, no, it hasn't quite removed itself. There we go. It had cut through the vinyl but not the vellum. So now we can see it's got a hole there. So now I'll just take the clips off. Move that out of the way. We can move the template out of the way now. Okay, so there we have the vinyl and the vellum with the holes punched. So that's effectively a sort of like a 2-piece cover. I don't know what you call it really. It's just what I've been doing lately. So now the next step is to thread the elastics in the holes. So first of all you need to decide the colour elastic that you're going to use. Generally with Traveller's notebook covers I use a 2mm round diameter elastic. I have a selection of them here. Sometimes with a pocket one I actually just use a 1mm round elastic. So as I said, this is a 2mm round diameter elastic. So to work out the amount that you need, it's about 4.5 times the height of the cover, because you've got the elastic going up and down 4 times, and then you need a little bit of space for the knot. So if you cut about 4.5 times, I then like to just burn the edges to seal them so they don't fray. So I just have my lighter here. And we'll just burn the edges. This is a metallic elastic, so it does sort of blacken a little bit, unfortunately, on the edges, but that's okay. So once you've got your piece of elastic, you then go up the middle hole and down to about halfway, and then up one of the side holes. So what you're doing is you're putting the elastic in lengths inside the traveller's notebook, as they are the bits of elastic that you then wrap your books or inserts around. So we'll go down the bottom hole. So you need to make sure you get through the vellum and through the vinyl. It's sort of like a 2-piece cover, I suppose. And then we want to go up through the middle hole. And then back down this middle hole. And up the last hole. Might just loosen it a bit. And down this hole. So we've got our 3 ups and downs, and then we want to go back up through the centre hole, and that gives us the 4th elastic. It's a little bit trickier when you're trying to go back a hole that's already got elastic in it, as you can see. Okay, so we've got the 3 pieces of elastic going up and down, and then we tie a knot in this elastic, and then that creates the 4th elastic. So then we can put our books or inserts around these elastics, like so. For the elastic that wraps around the outside of the traveller's notebook, I use about the width of the notebook and then about another inch. I've already cut and sealed the ends of this. Let's just put the ends together, and then just a simple knot like so, and then if you grab the other end, pinch that together and pop the ends through the centre hole from the inside. Then this is the elastic which closes the traveller's notebook. So there you have it, one complete traveller's notebook with a clear vinyl cover. So you don't need to put this wrap around on it, that's just something I've been liking to do at the moment. So you can just do exactly as we've done, just with the clear vinyl cover.